I feel like a guy that's not married by 30, it's actually a worse look than a girl that's not married by 30. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Iman, and it's been a while, I think, since I've done a video in English. Today I wanted to do, so it's Sunday, so on Sunday I like to do self-care, and I felt it would be interesting to do that with you guys because I also wanted to have kind of like a chit chat, and I think this is a new type of video that I'm really interested in doing because there are lots of topics I feel like we need to discuss as like a community, as a young African woman. I'm pretty sure there are lots of you watching me that will have opinions about some of these same topics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my self-care. So usually it consists of like full body care, then face care, of course, fragrance, and all of that, all that shebang. We do that at home. We reset before starting the week fresh. And today the topic is going to be, it's one that I feel is very interesting, and it's like close to my heart because it's exactly what I am. It's being a 30-year-old single African woman living in Africa. And when I say that, I have like a smile on my face because if you know anything about being a young African woman that has passed 30, you know what comes with that idea. So I'm going to start now. Well, of course I'm going to go and shower, so I'm not going to take you with me in the shower, but I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. So for my shower, during my self-care, I usually do scrub. I scrub. So today I'm going to use the Dove exfoliating body polish. I like these ones. I have 2 of these, but I'm looking to add more because I have kind of like more gentle dry skin, and this does not dry out my skin too much. It's not too harsh. So that's step 1. Step 2 is going to be my cleansing jelly. So it's Bodycology, and this one is the rose scent. And I'm going to finish up with my rose body lotion from Jergens. So today I'm in the mood for like something floral, something rosy, and then I'll come back and then we're going to I'm going to share with you more like my fragrance, etc., and do my face care while we'll talk. So don't hesitate to start sharing with me the comments you may already have of the ideas or the opinions you may have about being a single 30-year-old African woman living in Africa. And I say living in Africa because I feel like being a 30-year-old African woman living abroad comes with like a different territory. Being 30-year-old African woman in Africa is a lot more of a burden, I would say. So we'll get into it. I'll do my shower and I'll be back ASAP. I'm now done with my shower and my body care. I have used the Victoria's Secret Velvet Petals as like my base layer. So a nice floral, feminine, a little sweet. And by the way, I recently smelled Scarlet Poppy by Jo Malone. Very, very similar. Different price tags, of course, and different longevity, but I'm not mad at this. I've had it for about a month and a half now, and I've been using it. I'm surprised. And now I'm going to really top it off with Juliette Has Again, which is a sweet floral, very similar to Poison, Hypnotic Poison by Dior, but just a little more powdery, I would say. I've had it for 2 years. It was like one of my first blind buys, and I still like it. My collection has grown a lot since then. You can see on my channel I have a lot of videos about perfumes. If that's something you're into, definitely should check my videos out. Now I'm going to do my face care. I'm going to start with a nice mask, a mud mask. So I have my bowl of warm water. I'm going to add to it white clay that I got from like a vendor here. It doesn't have like a specific brand. I like to do my masks like handmade. I'm not a big sheet mask person, so that's that. So on the topic, let's get to the topic. Being a 30-year-old single African female living in Africa, I'm not going to, so let's start by the fact that I'm not a relationship expert by no means. I'm not saying that I'm an example, but I just feel like it's important for women like me to share their viewpoints and to explain to the younger generation that it is okay. Because I was going to say as an African woman, but actually as a woman, period, we are taught by society that like at 30, if you're not married, actually even at 25, to be honest, in my mind, like as like a teenager, I thought I would be married with at least like a kid by 25. Jokes on me, because clearly not. And the reality is I'm even happy that I'm not, by 25 I was not married. And to be honest, I'm even happy that by 30 I'm not yet married with kids, because to be honest, I don't think I am in a position right now to feel comfortable with being married and having, especially with having children. Being married is another level, but having children right now, I don't think that would have been like intelligent or like a smart thing to do for me, because I feel like it's only now that I'm really coming into myself. And to be honest, to me, like a marriage, for it to be successful, you have to be ready and you have to have lived your life pretty much. You have to have gone through a lot of things and to have been very comfortable with yourself in order to have like a successful marriage. That's my viewpoint. I've never been married, but I know a lot of people that have very successful marriages. Like my grandparents have been married 64 years. They've been married since they were like 20 and they've been together since. My parents have been married for 30 years now. But my grandparents, it was their first marriage. My parents, it was their second marriage. So even then, I feel like there is a reality. And I saw a meme last week and I sent it to one of my friends, because this is a topic I've been wanting to discuss for a while, because I feel like it's very important. It's that it said something along the lines, if you have not found your soulmate yet, just wait. They're probably finalizing their divorce soon. So not that I'm like trying to be mean or like see the demises of people's relationships, but I feel like a lot of people that marry very early, it's usually because of like social pressure, and then they end up divorcing. I'm not saying that's the case for everything. Again, there are exceptions. I'm not saying that a second marriage is always more successful than the first marriage. That's not the truth. We all know people that got married like 4 times and still nothing. Just like we know people that got on their first marriage and it went well. So to my white clay, I add, so this one, I wouldn't be able to tell you the translation. It's like an oil that's like soothing. It's a local one. Then I'm adding some vanilla oil just for the scent, because I love vanilla. It's like my favorite note in fragrance. And then I'm adding some cotton oil again, because it's like a soothing. And I don't have a lot of, like, you can see on my skin, I don't really have blemishes or anything like that, so I need something that's going to be moisturizing, soothing, etc, etc. So I'm just going to go and apply this in my bathroom and I'll be back. So I'm back. I have lit my nice candle, because what is a self-care Sunday without a nice candle? Actually, I do that every night, but my favorite, it's been one of my favorites for years, is Island Margarita by Bath and Body Works. So that's what I have on for tonight. And let's get back into the discussion. So what I was saying is, so I'm going to leave this on for like a good like 5 minutes, at least until it's dried. What I was saying is that I'm not saying that because I'm going to obviously be like a kind of a late bloomer, in the sense that I'm most likely going to get married in my 30s, that my marriage will be more successful. I'm just thinking that in today's society, actually, and maybe it was also in the past, I feel like as a woman, you come really into yourself and who you are in your 30s. I feel like nowadays we go to university, we have to start a career, etc., etc., in our 20s. So to me, if you're like, by the time you're like 25, even 28, you are not yet fully you have not yet fully come into who you're supposed to be and who you're comfortable being. Because to me, a good basis, the good basis to have in your marriage is for you to be comfortable with who you are, to know yourself very well, to be comfortable with yourself, because it's going to show the other person that they should be an addition to you, not that they are making you who you are or who you're becoming. You are already somebody and they're just adding. They're like a bonus, so they wouldn't feel like they can play with you anyhow. I feel like that's how I'm seeing it. And to me, there are things that are way more important to vet as far as like relationships, that make, maybe people would say it, because I had a discussion with my friends last time and they were telling me that, not that I'm picky, because I'm not picky, they were telling me that I'm not open-minded, which I told them is not true, because I know I have RBF. So a lot of times when people see me, not just men, they would think at first that I'm not nice, that I'm like very standoffish, when in reality I'm like very much the opposite. But because a lot of people have told me that, I make sure that I'm always very welcoming and very warm when people do address me. And I also make sure, like even on the street, that I would smile to somebody random. So I feel like actually a lot of men do approach me, and I make the effort, especially because of like that kind of thought that they may have regarding me, is that every time they would even ask me for my phone number, even if it's like a random person. Like one time I met a guy at the airport in Dubai. To this day, the guy is still texting me, talking about, can I call you? It's been 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years. It was like August 2021. So it's not that I will always give my phone number, and I will always, like, if you message me, I don't give fake numbers. Like if I don't want to talk to you, I just tell you straight up I am not interested. But I do give my phone number. But for me, there's like certain red flags, I would call them, like certain things that I'm just not willing to go over, especially like at an earlier stage in a relationship, which is not really a relationship, it's just like talking to somebody. To me, and what has been happening in like over the past few years in like the guys that I've met or that I've been talking to, is that they would expect me to pursue them. And I'm like, as much as I am an independent woman, I'm also very much aware that if I am getting married, you as the man are supposed to lead the family unit. And I know that can be like controversial, and that's like a discussion for another video, but about like feminine energy, masculine energy, being like women are equal to men, that's a different topic. What I'm saying is, for myself, I'm an independent woman, I'm a strong woman, but in my marriage, I don't want to be the leader. I want to have somebody that leads me. I want to have a husband that's the leader, that's taking charge. So if you're courting me and from the gate you're not even like leading the way as far as like planning for a date or following up, that's a huge red flag. And the reason why I'm saying that is that in my relationship I was in like 3 years ago now, that's something I observed from the gate. I was with somebody that I met through a mutual friend, so I was like more comfortable, I would say. And the first like 3 to 4 dates, he was always asking me, where are we going, what are we doing? And I'm like, you're trying to have me in a relationship, but you're not going to put in the effort. And because it was years ago, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it, because I don't want to seem mean, especially because it's like somebody that's like, we have a friend in common, a friend introduced us, blah blah blah. And you know what, the main reason why we broke up came to that exact thing. It's that he was not leading in the relationship, in like a lot of things. And what actually happened, like the real reason why we even broke up, is that he wanted to jump right into getting married and I didn't. So as like back then I was like 26 or 27, I think. I was 27. I could have said, okay, I'm just going to take all of this because I want to get married, so I'm willing to overlook these red flags. But I didn't, because first of all, I have like a strong family unit, and they were able to like show me kind of the red flags I was seeing, like whether it be like my siblings, my parents, etc. But even as myself, like as I was sitting, because we also like spent a lot of time apart because of the pandemic, and we had like a long distance relationship, so that even added fuel to the fire. And I was like, during the pandemic, I would even sit and think, okay, what is this really adding to my life? And then, do I really think that like in like even 6 months time, would I be comfortable being married to this person, having children with this person? Because this person wanted us to get married so quickly because they wanted children, because they were older than me. I think they were like 6. He was 6 or 7 years older than me, which is like a okay age gap, I would say. But I was sitting there and I was like, no, like right now I don't see myself in like 6 months to a year being married and having children with him, because I don't know him well enough. We have not discussed the important topics well enough for me to jump into a marriage. We have to have understanding, and I feel like that's an important part of like getting married. It's like a lot of points that you have to discuss with your future spouse, because I don't see myself, again, because I'm so independent. I live by myself for a lot of time around the world. Today I work, I can provide most things for myself. So if I'm going to be with somebody, they have to be an addition to me. I don't want to be sitting like in a house and thinking, okay, I got married, I got the ring, now I have a child, but I'm pretty much like a single mother. Because there are lots of women like that here in Africa whose families pretty much tell them, okay, you're getting old, and yeah, you have to get married. you have to get married. It's a bad look. So then they just end up settling, and then they are unhappy because they didn't take really time, and they didn't take time, but they didn't even have the opportunity. Okay. The beauty of living in Africa, power outages. So thankfully it didn't take too long to come back on, so I rinsed off. I took the time to rinse off. Now I'm going to make a nice little tea. I have this, one of my favorite mugs. So if you don't know, I'm obsessed with mugs. I collect them. This one is so beautiful. So you have the Jinyame sign, so the Adinkra symbol, and then you have like a map of Africa on the back. It's a mug from the brand Mafia Tableware. I think they're Ghanaian. I don't know if they're actually based in Ghana, but I believe they're Ghana owned. And I have this nice glow tea from Twinings I'm going to add, and we can continue on with our discussion. So I was saying that as like a 25 or 28-year-old, if your parents are telling you you're like pretty much passing the threshold, you have to get married, you're not like in a position to really make a good decision. You're not really in a position to think through and to properly vet the men you are meeting. So that's how you are going to end up with picking just any random guy and marrying them, and then ending up miserable. Or it's like, I know like a few couples like that here in Abidjan or like around the region that would literally get married because they've been together for like 5 or 10 years, but they clearly know that something is off with their relationship. Like they're not, like their families don't work well together. They like the infidelities, etc., but they still push through with the marriage because they're more interested in the wedding than the marriage. They want to have that big ceremony. They see it as like a finish line. And to me, that's the mistake a lot of people in our generation are making. And I was talking to a friend and she was telling me that's exactly what her parents told her. They were telling her that they feel like our generation is way more interested in the wedding, in like the ceremony, in like showing off, rather than actually having marriages that work. And the reality is that me personally, like my personality, and I feel like also the type of family I have, we're not so much into like the show off. If something is not working, it's not working. Of course, we are still like, we still have like some of the traditional African families. Like my parents would tell me from time to time, when are we having grandkids, blah 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 blah. So still I feel like they will want to know, but I don't have the type of family where they really push you for that. Whereas I know, and there are a lot of families like that. There are even families, and it's not even like poor families, it's like affluent families that would tell their daughters, you cannot marry just any random guy you meet. They have to be from like a certain family, have like a certain, be making a certain type of money that they can take care of you, where even when they have money and their child is actually working for themselves. And there are girls, even again from like affluent families, that just feel like they don't want to work, they want to live off a man. So even if they are able to provide for themselves, they will feel better having a rich man, which is another discussion, but a lot of them will end up like dating married men. Like that's another topic. We will get into that because that is something else. But in the case, like if I go back to like, if I rewind the story back to me, I of course would not have been happy in the marriage or having children, because at least with that man, because we were not compatible, and I think I knew it from the gate. But again, not the social pressure, I think it's more the pressure I was putting on myself, to be honest, to feel like, okay, I don't want to waste all the time I spent in this relationship, I will try to make it work. But the thing is, trying to make it work meant that we were going to get married, and it was just not the right move. At least at that time, it was not the right move to make, because we had to get to know each other better, get on the same accord on a lot of things, like education of children. We could not even agree on like a potential baby name. Can you imagine? Like education, finances, like on finances, I'm not like somebody that lives beyond my means, but I also like to live comfortably. I like to enjoy life. And the person I was with, the guy I was with, he was like kind of stingy. Let's be real. It was really stingy. Like I think in the relationship, and that's another red flag, he never got me any gift. Like I had pretty much, not to beg him, but almost to get me gifts. And I got him a gift before he got me a gift in our relationship. He never, like, he refused to get me flowers. The first time he got me flowers for like, was like Valentine's Day. And not that I had to beg, but I had to explain to him that I was really unhappy with the Valentine's Day gift he got me. But it's another story, because he didn't like Valentine's Day. He felt it was commercial. And even he didn't like Christmas. And all of that is also something that I should have known was not going to work, because in my family, we're very, very much into these like celebrations. Not so much on the material part of it, but just like the celebrating events, celebrating life, celebrating love, celebrating family. So for my family, Christmas is super important. I invited him over for Christmas with my family. He felt uncomfortable, but I was like, if tomorrow we're going to be married, this is going to be like our life. We're supposed, like, these are the types of events, because I have great memories of Christmas with my family. So that's the type of memories I would want to have with my children. So if you're not into Christmas, then what are we doing? So I know there are red flags like this, like the gift, etc., that I had seen at that time, but I just didn't do anything about it, really. Let's continue on with the face care. Next step, so after I rinse off, I use my micellar water. So this one is like, I just bought it back. This is my favorite. This is the one I really have been using for years. It's the best to me. Because I like to use micellar water. I'm not like big on like rinse off cleansers. I like non-rinse, but not everybody does that. And for your micellar water, actually, if I can give you a tip, don't start rubbing it off like right away. Just wait like 1 second, 1 microsecond, so that the micelles actually open and can capture more of the the dirt and all of that that you have to clean. But yeah, so yeah, I've been guilty of ignoring red flags, but the good thing is I did wake up at some point and realize that I couldn't get married to somebody like that. But not everybody, not every girl my age, at that time of my age now, would have made that decision. Because it's like, you feel like a failure almost. You feel like you've wasted your time, because surely you have seen these red flags, you have ignored them, and you have moved on with the relationship, and now you are like going back to square one. But at the same time, I feel like, so now I'm just going to use my glow tonic. I'm like really at the end. So you see it's the 500 ml by Pixie. This is like one of my favorite ones. I've been using it for years, also I think since like 2018 or 2019. I got familiar with it when I was going to London a lot around 2018 and 2019. And yeah, so yeah, I think a lot of us do ignore the red flags because we want to get that like fairy tale ending. And now with social media, we want to have our hashtags becoming the or meet the, like we all want that. But to be honest, we have to realize that marriage is actually not the finish line. It actually is the beginning. It's the start line of like a new life, of adjusting and all of that. And you have to be ready. You do have to be ready. You cannot be going into marriage just anyhow, which is why, again, I don't feel bad about like being 30 and not being married, because I know I'm not ready. Maybe, and some people say that when you meet the right one, you will be ready. That's also possible. But if you, I was talking to my friends, and even my parents would tell you that I'm not really putting myself in situations to really meet people, because that's not my personality. I'm really like an introvert. I really love to stay at home. So, and it's okay. Let's give me your opinion about that. I keep telling my friends I would not want to meet a guy like somebody I'm going to be in a relationship with in a club, because I'm not a club person at all. Like, I barely go to the club. When I go to the club, it's not for me anymore. Like, I've had my years, like I have lived that life when I was a student, and now it's not for me anymore. So I just want to do things like my age. I want to go to a restaurant, to a nice lounge. I want to go to the spa. So I feel like for me, I will have to meet a guy in these places, because if I meet a guy randomly in the club, okay, we hit it off, that's not a place for me. But that could be a place for him, meaning the day we're in a relationship or the day we're married, I cannot tell the guy you cannot be going to the club every week. He's going to be like, girl, you met me in the club, what do you expect? And I feel like that's also something that a lot of people do ignore in their, like when they start relationships and when they get married, is that you cannot have two different lifestyles. If one of you loves to be outside and one of you loves to be inside, when are you guys spending time together? I feel like, for me at least, that's not something I'm going to be comfortable with, and to me it's going to be a mess. And my friends were like, no, but what if it's a guy that also was randomly there? Well, then that's one chance in like 15 or so. And yeah, most likely not. I would rather meet a guy at the restaurant, because I love to eat. So we'll be going to the restaurant together. That's perfect. But I feel like I've seen also a lot of like people around me getting divorced for that reason, because, and tell me, you probably have seen these type of couples. You never see them together. It's always one that you see outside and one that's never outside, or it's like one that you will see in one type of place and one that you will see in the other type of place, no, never together. What is it? And also, there's another thing that made me laugh. It's like, I have a friend that told me that she thinks that arranged marriages work a lot better than marriages that are for love, because at the end of the day, a lot of these marriages nowadays are actually not for love. It's just like for the looks. And I was like, that's not stupid, because when it's like an arranged marriage, I'm not saying a forced marriage, that's different. an arranged marriage, meaning they're like, you know, some people do that. They're like, okay, if by 30 I'm not married, and at 30 you're not married, then we'll just get married. Or it's like a business arrangement kind of thing. They were saying that these kind of marriages last longer because they have a commitment to each other that's stronger than just love. Because love can fade. Let's be real. Love can fade. A lot of people that have been in relationships for very, very, very long will tell you at some point they feel like brothers and sisters. Which is crazy because a few days ago I was listening to like a podcast. I think it was the Shits and Geeks podcast, and the girl was saying, they had a guest, I forgot her name, and she was saying that probably after a few years, if you have a long marriage, you should be allowed to have like a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Like the spouses could have like side pieces. I was like, that is controversial. That's a controversial and a difficult thing to talk about. We'll probably touch on that in another installment of this. But I've been rambling and not finishing my skincare, so I'm going to use this because I finished my regular one. So this one is with the SPF. It's a soothing, repairing cream. I like to use it a lot. The SPF one is my go-to when I go on vacation, and the regular one I just use during the day. But even this one I finished because I was traveling a lot these days. I'll have to get a new one. But yeah, where you meet, like finding like, to me, I think the person I want to marry will have to be me, but as a man. Like, we'll have to have, I'm not saying 100%, but we'll have to have similar tastes, similar passions. Like, I love to travel. I would need somebody that actually likes to travel, that's open-minded. I love to eat. I love to live. Like, I like to go to the spa. I like to get gifts, which is like, okay, I can understand that we can all have different love languages, but I think I'm pretty good at all love languages. What I'm saying is we need a bit of everything, because you can never know 100% what the other person's love language is, except if they tell you. And if they tell you and then you're still not changing, then that's a problem. But and on this topic, I'm going to say something that may sound a little crazy. Let me put my lip balm before saying that. But I feel like this is also towards the end. Everything is ending these days in these products. I feel like, that may sound really crazy though. I feel like a guy that's not married by 30, it's actually a worse look than a girl that's not married by 30. And let me explain why. Here in Ivory Coast, but I'm pretty sure it's like that around a lot of African countries, there's kind of like this stigma for men that are in their 30s and that are not married, especially like even in your career. They will tell you that if you want to advance, you have to be married. So a lot of these guys, when they are like 28, 30, they will just pick any random girl or a girl they've been with for a long time, but they know they don't really love, etc. They'll just say, okay, let's get married. So I feel like if you're in your 30s as a guy and you're not married, it probably is that either you have not found somebody good, or maybe you're like a terrible person. No, I'm joking. No, it's just like, it's more difficult to understand because society says all the time that as a guy, you're the one who married, you're the one who's asking a girl to marry. And because girls are, I'm not going to lie, girls are so desperate. They've been sold this dream, this like fairy tale that you're going to find Prince Charming, etc., etc. That I feel like a girl that refuses a proposal is very, 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 very rare. Except if you're like, the guy is like terrible, he's broke, etc., etc. Because I know girls that accept proposals from men that are violent, from men that like are bad, from men that cheat on them, etc., etc. Because most likely they have the financial means, or because it's a better look for them and they are going to make their family proud. So I feel like if a guy, it means that probably, or it could be that it's a great guy actually, because it could mean that he knows this, he has not yet met the right girl for him, and then he's like, okay, I'll just wait it out, like I'll just continue living my life just like pretty much the same way I'm living. So that means my husband probably is like that. My husband, my future husband, probably is out here thinking, okay, I'm over 30. I'm not going to rush into a marriage. I'm just going to find the right girl for me, and I don't care what anybody has to say. That's probably it. Interesting. So let me do last step. It's going to be hair care. So I'm just going to do this like as a conclusion. So I'm using Mael rosemary mint oil for my scalp. So yeah, my final thoughts on this, it's really for like the younger girls, because I know in the era of like social media and all of that, we are shown a lot of things, and we feel like if we don't have what the next person has, we are a failure. And I can understand also, because yeah, I'm not going to say I'm immune to that. There are times where I open Instagram and I see girls, they got married like last year and now they have a baby, etc. And like, well, one thing about me is I'm not a jealous type of person. I'm like a very supportive person. I see somebody's happiness not as like a denial of my own, but more as like, if they can get it, I can get it too. Like there's enough to go around. There's like, we can all be happy. We can all have we all have our person out there. If they found their person, I can also find my person. That's more like how I view it. And that's also how I am even in like other aspects, in like as far as like career. That's like the type of person I am. So if you're a young 20-something-year-old, even a 30-year-old, and you have been editing in my hair, so as you can see, it did not record till the end. It's only like now that I'm editing the video that I noticed that my conclusion literally got cut out, and I think I talked for a good like 2-3 minutes after that. So basically my conclusion on the topic is that it's not like a sentence to be a 30-year-old single African woman. Sure, it's not, I would say, the best look as far as society, but you know what, in the world we live in today, society should be like the least of your concerns, because following the rules and the guidelines, I would say, of society is going to make you most of the time pretty much unhappy, whether it be with your personal life or even like, for example, your body, etc., etc. Trying to fit society standards is impossible. It's like an ideal that even the people that will be giving you advice themselves literally cannot uphold 100% of the time. It's just an ideal, I would say, but an ideal for who? Because at the end of the day, you're the only one living your life. You're the only one with yourself 24/7. And nobody else has to go through anything you are going through. Like if you're in a marriage that you got married because your family told you to, or you felt the pressure from like a boyfriend or anything like that, and then you are unhappy, is that better than just like being single? Like, I'm not saying that being single is the best thing ever, because of course, as humans, we're social beings. We want to be in society. We are, I would say, programmed to be in relationships, and like the holy grail of relationships, of course, is marriage. But at the end of the day, to me, you have to put everything in perspective first. Are you happy? Is that something that serves you or something that deserves you, before jumping into such like a big commitment and a big decision? The same way that I see today, like the older generations complaining about the fact that younger people are having children but don't want to get married. I understand where they are coming from. I would and actually, you know what, we'll do maybe the next video on that topic, like is having children a bigger commitment than getting married? Because like today I see a lot, like even like my parents and like their friends, I see a lot of them complaining about that. okay, why are you having children and then you don't want to get married? That's what you're supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, I understand, but at the end of the day, I think in this day and age, we should not be pressured so much about marriage. And for me personally, I think it comes when it comes. It comes when it's supposed to come, and when I will feel comfortable with like whoever I'm going to be with, and I feel comfortable with the situation I'm in, like career-wise, like for myself, if I feel like I am ready to give myself to like that level of commitment, then I will do it. But I'm not like, again, I'm not in a rush. I know they say that the clock is ticking and all of that, but I don't want to be like a bad spouse or a bad mother because I was not ready, you know. And I feel like my personality, and even like I feel like our generation, were not as good at faking relationships, at faking that we're happy when we're not. Sure, there are people that are definitely good at it, but for the most part, no. So to me, being a 30-year-old single African woman is, yes, it can be a challenge, but it's not like a sentence. It's not what's going to define me. It will happen when it will happen. In the meantime, I will enjoy my life. Exactly that. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Don't hesitate to put in the comments if there's any topic that you would like for us to discuss in the next videos.